Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome in.
Greetings, Earthlings.
We're just hanging out for a couple minutes while we wait for other people to join. See some new faces. Very cool. Hello.
Hey,
Hey, welcome.
Yeah, you too, Dwayne.
Oh yeah, we're not used to having chicks in our in our meetings. So sorry, Dwayne.
So Dwayne is saying that he had to deal with not having this webinar before Thursday.
People passing or not passing. I see. Yeah, I got my thoughts on that when you're playing against Tony. What's his partner gonna do?
You never know. I don't even know sometimes.
Well, two of the people you play with, that's true.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Everybody else knows.
I've got David's options pretty dialed in at this point.
Okay.
Whether whether I can pick him up or not, that's a different story. But anyway, yeah. It's good to see everyone in Kentucky. Good start to the year, even though I didn't play very well. I didn't play well, but I had good results. Lack of execution after the Bonzini tournament that I played last. My throw throw, I could not shoot the ball. I couldn't hit the hole, so I had to create my hole as opposed to just actually execute them.
That was always opposite for me. Whenever I played a Euro tournament, I come back and with my pull, I shot so well on Tornado because it was just like such a struggle on Bonzini that on Tornado it felt great and you can just do what you want to. But you guys, for a rollover, you have to do that weird stroke, so it's gonna mess you up when you come back.
Complete different timing, and for me, I don't recoil my push side on Bonzini because if you're pulling back, when you throw it out there and then pull back. On Bonzini, you need to wait for that heavy foot to go all the way around, so it kind of creates a delay. So I kind of spray my push out there on Bonzini, and that's definitely not the way to do it. Now I just spray it in the corner on Tornado. Like I wasn't even hitting the goal, so I just set it up on the push side and just moved it that far, and then worked a good pull side. That was my adjustment this week. But
I saw him do a bunch of outside banks on the setup. That was fun.
Who's that?
You.
I did?
Outside banks?
I think in open mixed in the finals.
I can't remember.
Euro bank, yeah, man.
On the 2-bar?
Oh, on the 3
No,
rod.
on the 3.
Yeah.
He would set it up and then just do like a outside bank from the middle guy.
From the middleman.
Huh. Okay.
I'm gonna be European soon, man.
Yeah, you gotta start working those chips and stuff.
Yeah, that's also out there officially. I'll be moving to Europe in May, so I'll be a Bonzini player. Hopefully. Bonzini and Leonhardt. We've already got the Bonzini, thank you. Yeah, we've got the Leonhardt being shipped to the house already. We've already got the apartment and everything, and it'll be shipped there but in 3 weeks.
And you need to get good on it quick, because any future webinars, you gotta be able to show us stuff on the table.
Yeah. What do you mean get good on it quick? I was a world champ on it. That's the worst part is I'm actually not even good on it, but somehow I pulled it off. Everybody that I played was 100 times better than I was, mechanically. They didn't know how to block the 5-bar shot, and I'm a hacker, so.
All right.
But anyway,
I think we're just 5 minutes in. We can get started.
That was singles, and now we got to talk about partnership.
Yeah, doubles partnership. Let's go.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the monthly FoosBySeries webinar. Congrats to our students for some great successes at TKO this past weekend. Today, we're going to drill down on the topic of partnership and passing. We have several webinars to help perfect doubles partnership, so be sure to review those if you haven't already, but let's get started. In case this is your first webinar, welcome. Your mics will be muted during the show, but you can react using chat rooms, emojis, and signal icons to talk about the discussion with the other live viewers in the room. Without further ado, I'll hand it over to our coaches to kick things off.
Thanks again for joining us, everyone. Good to see you, Brandon. Sorry I missed the last one.
Oh, good. Yeah, everybody knows you can't take the ball on the 3-bar. That was a fun one. So today, though, we're going to talk doubles partnership, and it's part 2 of our series. The last one we did was with Maras. A lot of that had to do with selection of partners and like what's good for you and what's bad for you and what should work for you. And then also just, kind of teamwork within the gameplay and things like that. So great episode. If you haven't seen it, go back and check it out. Mara's had a bunch of good insights for that type of stuff. Again, think about how great of a partner he is. He's won worlds with like 3 different players, right? So without further ado, this one's about passing to your partners. You set it up, you're a goalie, you send the ball up the table. Why does it stick to your partner's 3-bar? And how do you go about doing that better? As a forward, your partner passes it up the table. Where are you at? Like what if they go wall and you're out in the lane? What if you're in the lane and they go wall? I don't know. There can be all sorts of different things that come into play when it comes to passing. So that's what we're going to focus on today. We'll show some examples on Tony's table and everything like that too. So I guess without further ado, let's get started.
Yeah. How to be on the same page, right?
Yeah, how to be on the same page. It should happen before a match ever starts. Let's get that out of the way. Like you should be a good partner before the match starts and not try to figure things out as the match starts. But we get forced into situations and DYPs, local DYPs and stuff like that, where you have to adapt on the fly. You got a new partner, didn't really get a chance to say much to them ahead of time. What should you look for, without their help as well? So that's a good thought as well. So what is your series and what are your options, right? So what I mean by that is me personally, I'm goalie, right? For the most part, sometimes I shoot a pull shot from goal that's about this far off the wall. And so I don't have a hard wall pass, right? I don't send it back towards the wall really hard. I do a bunch of spray pull shots with a couple of square pull shots. And my main passing will come from a straight lane pass, like where I just shoot it straight down the table, in between where the first and the second guy are on the 5-bar defense, right? And so it's sitting there. My pass is going to go straight down like that, and my partner needs to accept it about this far off the wall. And that can change as well. I might have to brush it a little bit, and now it's this far off the wall instead of this far. So it just depends on where a person is. So we'll talk about all these different options as well, and let's get into that. So we'll start with the one that I just said, just because we're already kind of working on it. And it's the off the wall, setting up pretty close to the line. As I mentioned, a ton of spray pull shots happen from here. And so the forward has to drift out towards the middle because you're in a good place to shoot down the middle and even towards the long from this set, because you're kind of cheating your way out there. You already have a good advantage to get out to that middle to long area. And so the forward has to generally move their way out towards that area. So what they're going to do is they're going to flash with that first guy on the 3-bar right out of the way, because that first guy can really help with spray pull shots. So if you move him like outwards to try to block a spray pull shot, the first man, right? So now he's leaving a straight lane pass right in behind his guy, right? So I'm as a goalie, I'm setting up, I'm sitting there waiting to shoot a pull shot, and the forward is flashing that guy in front of me. I time it. I sit there and wait, and I wait for moment that I notice that guy has gone too far, and I get him behind the ball and I just tap it down towards my partner. And so they're ready to accept it on the 3-bar by coming out to the spot that I passed to. The only other really pass that I use very much is a pull kick pass because I like to shoot pull kicks, right? And so those are really kind of the two options when it comes to this series. There's not a whole lot of other options, but it's a great option. And so you don't have to actually like add much to it because there's really no other places to go. It's hard to get it all the way back to the wall. Plus, that'll be hard for your partner to catch if he's trying to go out to the lane to catch the lane. And so, do you have any thoughts on that? Like, do you feel like that's generally the idea behind that series?
For me, it's all about different sets, right? So from that set, the other option that I would like my partners to use, just for the simple fact that obviously I'm using the 3-row, the fact that the middleman can only go so far. So if they're in front of you with this first guy, and let's say they're in front for the spray, like you were saying, obviously you have the straight lane pass, something like that.
Yeah.
But now let's say you start hitting that and they're going to be in front of you a little bit more. They're kind of on the long here. I like the slider across the middle, right?
Softy.
The softy across the middle. That to me is a zone breaker because most of the time, and I know people do it against me as well, because I allow for that spray to go through. I'm funneling the ball across and making them hit a spray into the zone. Well, if my partner can do that slider across the middle, it allows me to intercept it before it even ever hits their zone. It's got to be a little bit off speed. I mean, I catch it pretty good, but it's not a full-on shot like as if someone's going to zap it to your middleman, and your guy's stationary. You actually have to go out and get that ball. But for me, that would be the other option that I would like to use from that.
How sad is it that I forgot to talk about it? Because I mean, we used to do that all the time when we played together.
You're setting me up and making me look good.
Yeah. So then another option from this series is a wall series. So like now, instead of setting up out, towards that white line, someone sets closer to the wall. Like we talked about this in some of our 2-bar webinars and stuff, especially obviously the 2-bar pull shot webinar. Much harder to go long from here because you have way more distance to cover, right? So generally a forward can pull in real tight and try to gum up those sprays, those short sprays, the long sprays, things like that. However, they can creep off the wall a little too far, and this is the easiest pass in the entire game. A hard wall pass close to the wall, exactly. It's the easiest pass. It's the one that you can hit the hardest, and like when a defending forward makes a mistake, it's the easiest thing to get through, right? For me at least. What do you think?
And you'd be surprised how many people actually leave it, right? So on something like this pass, me as a forward. Now let's say Brandon's working this particular wall pass. The main thing is he's just got to get it past this 3-row, right? I absolutely love it when that's what me and Rob Mars play a lot together. This is what I want him to do. I want him to start. This is my starting place that I want my partner to start from, for the simple fact that it's the easiest thing, and it's the easiest thing you could do. It's safe, and what happens is you get the ball a lot for the simple fact that even if their 5-bar is on the wall, it turns into a pass to my 5-bar. Okay, and it's a bonus if they jump and it goes all the way to my 3, right? So, and this goes back to when I'm playing foosball, like let's say I'm playing singles, we'll go back to it a million times. I try to get somebody stuck somewhere. I try to establish one particular hole. So if my partner is throwing that ball up the wall pass and throwing up the wall, and it keeps coming to me and it keeps sticking to my guy, after 4 or 5 of them, you better believe they're going to be stuck there. And now that's going to allow them to expound upon what they've already established. Now they're going to start being able to work those sprays across the middle or the short squares. It's going to really open up a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
so
as you mentioned, the point would be to stick their 3-bar against the wall to try to block your, the defender, right? The black guy. He's going to try to get to the wall. That way you can no longer, well, for one, get it all the way through, or 2, bounce it off the 5-bar back to your 5-bar. The whole point as a defender would be to be there. but that's great for the shooter. Now they know someone is stuck somewhere, and look how big all those areas are right there between that first and the second guy on the three bar. You have that guy stuck. Now it's so much easier to choose your shot options, other pass options, and things like that. So that's kind of the point, right? Is like do it until it's fail, because they're trying to overcompensate to block it. And you, like to your point, Mahrez, when he's playing with you, like he will not stop trying to jam it down the wall because it just comes back to you. And then he gets me stuck, you know, as a forward, if I'm playing you guys, it gets me stuck sitting there trying to block it with the first guy. And now I got too much to do with my 5 bar. And so more mistakes are made, and it's benefit, you know. From there, we go away. Oh, sorry. Let's talk about other passes from that position real quick.
Well, and this is something that Rob and I, for me, this is the importance when I play with my normal partner, is we're reading the holes the same way, right? We're reading the holes together, for the simple fact that, let's say he does that wall pass, I want to make sure that my 5 bar gets down quick enough to kind of give him some backup to receive that off of their 5 bar pass. So that's the first thing. I know all of my partners' sets as a forward, and I know every one of their options from each set. Sometimes you'll have a partner who has a really good spray pull shot. Sometimes you'll have one that has a good tuck, but he doesn't spray the ball as well. So knowing what the limitations and you know the pros to their series, me as a forward, I need to pay attention to that, because it's going to help me understand their decision making. Right? If he doesn't have, my partner doesn't have a great long, I know that he's going to try and just chisel that ball down to me. Now, if I'm playing with, you know, Ryan or something like that, I know he can set up on that wall and destroy a long and not even think twice about it. So for me as a forward, trying to understand how to read the defense with my partner, right, is knowing their options and knowing their capabilities from each set. So, and by that, and I'm gonna expound upon that. This is something that I've been talking to a lot of my partners about recently. How many times do we see someone setting up for a pull shot or a push shot or whatever, and they're doing this? They're going between the 2 guys. Okay, that's great. You get a good set. You get the perfect distance forward or back. However, I like it when my partner actually sets it up and rolls into the setup. Okay, and something as simple as that. If you are aware, like me as a forward, and as a and as a goalie, if you're reading the defense together, that looks like just a simple setup, right? I'm just trying to get the ball there. But when I roll that ball over, I'm watching a few things. How do they react? How does their 3-row react when I toss that ball over? Are they coming in to this area, maybe by the white line? Well, if I do, you know, that looks like a wide open pull kick to me. Let's say you hit a pull kick with, you know, now you have the pull kick option. You know, you can work different holes, and they don't even know that you're reading the defense. You know, your opponents just think that you're trying to get a good set. But every time you bring it down here, if you just pay attention, you can really see how far to the wall do they come. You know, and then vice versa. There's other passes that you can do. As you're doing this, you have roll-up options. You have the slant back down here, or as you're rolling back to the wall, you'll notice so many times the 3-rod doesn't go all the way to the wall. Look at this space here. And I have me and Todd, me and Rob Mars, and a few other players have developed what I like to call like a spot pass. Something that I've been able to see every time they set up the ball, they're able to roll up. And if that forward doesn't follow, you know, he's out here looking for a rolling pull. You know, someone's rolling up and they can go directly into a rolling pull. They're going to kind of keep this 3-rod in this area. And if I just drift, I could drop that 5-bar down quickly, you know,
or just all the way to the 3. Like a lot of times people just, you know, they float with every single roll like that,
right,
because of the rolling pull shots.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, exactly. You go all the way to the 3 as well. Dana Marr uses that one a lot as well. But I like the spot pass if I really need a possession, really need it to the 5. The zone is really, really good. That to me, again, if you pay attention, you talk about it, like you know your options. That's my favorite like teamwork play, right?
Yeah.
That's my favorite teamwork pass right there, because it's for me it requires a signal. And I don't know if we want to talk about signals now or later, but me as a forward, I'm calling for that pass, and I'll do something as they're rolling. I don't know if you can see in my table cam. I'll wiggle my foot. I'll give a little wiggle just one time, and my partner knows they're going to reset it. And on the first time, boom, they're hitting that pass, right?
Yeah.
So we have certain times, but again, communication, just like we talked about last time, any relationship, got to be on the same page. You got to talk about it. You got to understand the options from every point. And that one is not just for catching the passes, but like I said, getting your 5 bar down for when your partner does choose to shoot. Let's say they're going to shoot that first one at first hole. My 5 bar is really getting down and provide backup for them. So that's my responsibility as a forward, is to protect my goalie when he does choose to shoot. He or she chooses to shoot.
Yeah, the forward plays a big part in goalie success. Like I had Archer for all those years, right? And I was just shooting like crazy at a goal and stuff like that. And that's he had a hard time actually catching passes, so we didn't do passes, but we crapped in so many points because of him knowing exactly where all my shots went to, and his guy was coming in behind the ball as it like passed by it, like to be forward and ready to help me out in the event that the forward blocked me back towards me. And so instead of getting stuffed, we're getting like some sort of sloppy point off of it because he's already knocking it back to the other goalie. It's really, really important and helpful. Works as good as a pass does.
Yeah.
So from this series though, so just to finish up this one, so you're on the wall. They are covering the wall with let's say the 3 bar in this instance, right? Just because that's the smartest thing to do, because you keep knocking it back. If they're covering it with a 3 bar, now one of the other options can be the middleman. I see a lot of pull shooters with this series hitting that second man on the 3 bar, and I'm not good at it, but a ton of people are. And what you're looking for is it can be a spray like that, where if they're helping themselves too much with that second man on the 5 bar, like he's way out there like that, you can spray it in behind him and use it. So it's like a slight brush into that middleman. You can also go around if they are staying back to help with the second man on the 5 bar. Something like that or whatever. Then you can get around the first guy and then brush it, more or less, kind of tuck it back into the middleman pass. And so it's a pass that works really well. I have a hard time blocking it actually as a forward, just because it goes into a weird spot that I don't generally think to cover. I feel like my goalie's got it, and so I don't need to be there. So that's a hard one, and it's a good one.
Yeah, and here's one more thing. I see a lot of people with their guys up in the air, right? The 3 row. How many times, especially on that wall pass set, when someone is really, I don't know, there's been a few players historically who will not put their 3 row down when their goalie has it, and thinking that there's another one I won't mention, but they try to get their 3 row down in time. Well, if your 3 row's already down, it's so much easier to catch those passes. And me personally, I always like to keep my 3 row down. I catch a lot of errant balls that way. Now, if there's something blazingly obvious, when, like, for instance, let's say I'm blocking the short pull shot with my middle guy. Let's say I'm blocking that and it's just really big. I'll lift my guy up and just tell my partner, just drill that short. But, it's very rare that someone's going to just give it to you completely. So I try and keep that guy down. I get a lot of balls that'll deflect and land on my 3 row. So me personally, I like to have the 3 row down.
So to your point, whenever I play with someone that does a wall set, I obviously leave my man down now. Like, but I have such a much harder time catching loose balls. Like as you mentioned, you like to go from the wall outwards to catch stuff, whereas I like to be up and back, and then I know which direction I need to go based on rebounds and things like that. And it's a feel thing. I catch a lot of loose ball stuff. You do as well, probably more. You know, and so it's kind of one of those things where that's a feel thing. However, I really like to catch the lane pass like that when I'm up and I accept it, kind of like I would on the 5 bar from my 3. Yeah, I like to come down and catch it like that. And so that's the reason I like it. It's just to your point, if I'm playing with someone that's doing a wall series like that, I'm definitely staying on the wall. And I got my guy down and trying to accept it the right way because it's just too hard to get down in time.
Yeah.
Third series from, and we're talking only pull here, but it's really literally just the exact opposite in a push shot series. But I guess we'll go through that really quick in a second. But is the way off the wall. Like, so I described one a little while ago that was near the white line. Now you got someone that's sitting out towards the goal, like where you're currently at, or even further. Some people take it even further than that. And so the whole point of this is that the defender really needs to try to cover that tuck short because it's such an easy shot to hit in behind the goalie because you can also get to the long hole. So the defenders really stack themselves up trying to take away this pull shot that's kind of like a 3-bar pull shot, right? And it's really easy to hit all these holes because you're cheating all the way out there. So what becomes open is not a straight lane pass. I guess there's kind of an option there. But the main one is the brush back. There's a lot of people that do this. You even kind of do it in when you're in goal sometimes and stuff like that is like a hard brush backwards towards that area. It usually doesn't go all the way to the wall, although it can. But right, most of it's angling it back in behind where the first and the second man on the defensive 5-bar are. So you're just aiming for wherever they're leaving it. And as a forward, to your point about accepting things, this is like, where would I be to catch this thing? Is it going to go all the way to the wall or is it going to go? That's all dependent on where that defender is, right? And so the person accepting this pass, I'm paying attention to where their guys are from between the first and the second guy and going to that area because that's where I expect the pass to be able to make it through. And so, yeah, that's as easy as you can make it.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, this series, it's the exact opposite of the wall series, right? So basically, with a wall, you want someone to be able to. I'm going to leave a really long pull shot from the wall, right? Well, when you move the ball further out, closer to the goal, the long gets a lot easier. So, like Brandon was saying, people are going to really want to jam up the center of the goal because it's so easy to just shoot a pull shot from there, where it forces, everything out in the center of the goal, and now you can start working those options. Okay, and you can really just. There's a few top players, like even women that do it. Shelley Langley, I've seen her do that set for years, and she clears the ball really well. For the men, Eric Hiltner has really been working that series. And it's typically for those people who are really good at tucking that ball back, someone that can get around the ball and, more of a square pull shooter. It just comes very natural. And what happens is, like Brandon says, you get someone trying to cut off the angle with the 5-bar with this guy, right? Because it's, they're going to try and intercept it, something like that. So the other option that I like to use, the next set from there, is once you start working that and get them thinking about that slant down, then an off-speed, high straight lane. And I usually catch mine right about here. And I'm telling you, those two passes right there, that high straight lane is a zone breaker. And it freezes people. Now you're working, those two options, and you got this guy trying to block a slant down and a high straight lane. And if they're so worried about that, then it's just so easy to hit a short from there. It really gives the forward a lot of responsibility just off of those two options. Those are just two passes, and in order to block that, they need to be in front of, let's say they're in front of the ball for the straight, they'd have to be here. Well, this guy doesn't go any further. So they're essentially going to have to come out here to block the slant down or be in front of it. Look at all of this space that you could shoot from down the middle. You know, that's basically the whole point of the series, is to get this guy stuck on the slant down, and you can work those two passes over and over and over, just because this guy can't go any further. So this, you know, so this first guy in the 3-row is really just isolated. He's stuck there, and now it's so easy to just fire away from that point because it opens everything up down the middle. So me, clearing wise, that you may, you know, you're gonna get some really tough zones, but it's so easy to just clear the ball and dump it down there, especially if you have a forward who picks up loose balls really well. And again, that goes back to what we talked about before, is choosing your partners, understanding your partner's options. And so for me, that set is just a great clearing set. So
that's another one as well. That set is another big responsibility on the forward to help with their 5-bar, because they're shooting out in front of the goal so much. When they do shoot, you need to be directly in front of their 5-bar at all times. Like I as a forward, if my partner's shooting in the middle like that, my 5-bar, I sit there and literally follow with my man up, of course, but I follow where their guy is and just try to like time them shooting at the same time, and I come down right in front of where their 5-bar is, because a lot of that is square and it's going to hit their 5 and come back the same direction. And so if you stay right in front of it, you can really help your partner out with some key no stuffs and things like that. So we talked about pull shot. I realize we probably should talk about push. However, just take this entire thing and reverse it. It's the other side of the table. We don't need to really go over all that because we don't have enough time. What I would like to talk about would be concepts when passing. Some concepts, and what I mean by that is like, what are your percentages? You know, what's the idea behind of a match and things like that. So if you want to throw out just a random percentage, I personally believe it's 1 out of 3. 1 out of 3 attempts should be a pass. People can be higher than that, people can be lower than that, but I'm generally not going to overpass, because those can be very easy to steal if the opponent is really, really ready for it. They can take direct possession on the 5 and the 3 if they see something coming and they get to it, right? That can be a bad thing. Obviously, direct turnovers to the 5 and the 3 to me is the worst thing that can happen, other than a stuff. And so I don't want to overpass, but if I shoot and keep them honest 60%, 67% of the time, that's generally going to keep them off of overthinking about me passing the ball. And so I'm going to, like, 1 out of 3 possessions, I'm going to land the ball pretty much on my partner's 3-bar. That's a really, really solid percentage. When you go back and look at all inside foos ever and stuff like that, not a lot of goalies get their ball actually to their partner that much. Even the goalies that are trying to pass the ball that much, they just don't. Because you're not shooting enough. And that's something that's smart of the zone, is to know the opponent, to know how much they're going to try passing, and whether or not you should just take away all passes and say, hey, partner, help me out on some of these shots, and play some zone defense, you know, and maybe they get 1 or 2 shots through, but you steal a bunch of passes, that can take over a match, right? You get all these extra possessions. So I feel like 33% is a great percentage. It's not that easy, though. It's not, hey, we had 10 possessions and I tried 3 passes. A match grows, right? And so what I like to do to start off a match is I want to show their zone that they can't move. And if I set up and I see some spray pull shots, I'm shooting spray pull shots for the first 2 to 3 balls. I want them to suck their guys in and now make it easier on me to get my pass through. And then, so after those first 2 possessions, yeah, I'm going to throw 1 or 2 passes at them, right? And so that starts to make the forward have to try to figure out where they're going to be at, and they'll plant way harder. And now I know what the forward's going to do from now on, because they got to cover this and this, right? And they only got so many guys. And so then I can shoot some zone breakers or whatever and try to get a point to help out in the first game to win that game or whatever. So that's my progression in a match. And then it especially gets clear at the end of a match. I will try to base things off of my forward. If my forward is struggling like crazy to get the ball, then I am definitely going to pass because they're shooting fine. I'm going to adapt my percentages way higher into the 50 to 60% land of trying to pass, right? I'm going to get them the ball more so that they can finish off the match. because they're not getting it themselves, or maybe they're not getting blocks on the 5-bar, or whatever the case may be, right? So I'm gonna adapt things that way. The other thing that can happen, they can't score. What's the point of giving it to the 3-bar if this person cannot figure this goalie out? I may start taking things into more of a roll the dice Todd Lafredo situation where I'm just going to try to get a point. You know what I mean? And go deep with it. And so that might be how I go about, like playing out the match in my head is what's worked, what's being effective, how's my partner being effective, and what do I need to do? And that's just good teamwork, right? And so one of the things you can really help your partner out with this stuff is the things that you're thinking. Talk to them in the middle of a timeout so they know to protect you a little more. Hey, I'm gonna shoot the next like 4 shots. I'm gonna come up with some big plays here. And then that your partner knows not to look for a pass, they know to help you out in a defensive situation, right? And so that's just what a teamwork really can be, and that's how all the best teams play that. So
yeah, me personally, my goalies typically like Brandon and I talked about this earlier. A lot of the times people are going to expect their goalies, my goalies to come out and start passing to me, right? Oh, we want to get Tony the ball. We want to pass the ball. So the defenders are going to want to, they'll really be looking for it. So you would think, right? So Brandon actually stated that he's okay with, shooting because he anticipates the defender to be looking for passes, which is super valid point. I understand it completely. Me personally, I'm the type of person that will have a game plan, and I'm really, really maybe stubborn, and I'll stick to this game plan until I'm ready to make the decision to switch it up. For the simple fact that me personally, I don't like to assume that someone's going to be there. And so many times, I'm going to, they're going to think that they're on the pass. But if you're patient enough and you wait and wait and wait and wait, you can continue to work those holes. And nothing's more frustrating to your opponent than when you're trying to be somewhere and someone's patient and they still exploit that one thing that you're trying to, they're trying to cover. So I don't give my opponents too much credit, until they earn it from me. So many of us have to realize that we don't know it, but they don't know what we're going to do. When I roll that ball up there and I'm patient enough, I can pretty much wait. Every hole is going to flash at some point. I just learned this recently, or I helped somebody learn this. Let's say someone's playing defense on the 3-row like this, and then they show you a big straight lane. Okay, when you see that big lane, it's natural to go, oh, wow, there it is. Well, a good forward's going to know, they're going to, it's a bait most of the time. So when they're showing you something, they're going to know what they're leaving open, and they're going to go out and grab that thing. So when choosing passes, have something in mind, right? Again, I like to have something in mind, and if it doesn't show up, to have a default option. But you can time it so much quicker when they're actually on the particular hole. When they're in front of the ball like this, don't wait for the hole to be there and go, oh, wow, there it is. Because by the time you see it, that signal registers to your brain, and then your brain sends a signal back to your hand to do the pass. It's gone already. So have something in mind and anticipate the guy coming off of the hole. Right. And as soon as that guy bobs off of that hole, that's when you should be striking those passes. Right. And let your partner know this, like Brandon talked about, timeout situations. Say, hey, in the first 2 seconds, this guy bobs off the straight, on a big point, I might not always be ready for like a quick pass or whatever. So say, on the first bob, as soon as he flashes it to me, I'm hitting that high straight lane. That type of communication is really going to help you on big points. And again, having your terminology down is huge. Well, what do you mean on the top side? Well, my top side or your top side, or whatever it may be. Make sure that you guys, understand communication between each other and what the terminology means. Because I've had that happen before where I'd say something to my partner and they thought I was talking about something completely different. So we make up stupid names, Flippy or John Wayne, and do a John Wayne. What the hell's a John Wayne? I don't know. Whatever it may be. Make sure that you know what you're talking about. Scorpion, I thought it was a slingshot. Depending
So
on the
our middleman pass was snatchy. You remember that? Like when I did the soft middleman pass down the middle. Yeah, it was like, let's do snatchy.
You go out there and you snatch it out of midair, right?
Yeah.
So again, depending on your partner, understand each other's terminology. And the thing is, the more that you have a plan, and I'll wrap up my bit with this. The more you have a plan, the instead of setting it up and doing a long pull shot, a short pull shot, a slider across the middle, a wall pass, whatever, you may have great percentages, you may clear the ball really well, but the more that you work one particular area and then break out of it as the match progresses, the easier you're going to recognize things like, oh, he's leading with his 3-row here. I know my partner is going to look for the slant down, or this guy's coming in with the middleman. I know that the straight lane passes. You actually get to, the more you play with somebody, you understand which things, which movements actually trigger them to read certain holes. So I think that's really important to have a plan and stick with it. So that way your partner can, there's some consistency with the way that you read holes. And
my last point is don't give away your pass. It's not tick, 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 and then reach up really big and then hit it at that moment. It's like Tony said, get a good set, get a stop, wait 10 seconds, and then jam it down the wall with no movement before doing so. Like that's a big player in the way that when I'm playing DYPs and I'm playing with different partners, I see people giving away, telegraphing their pass versus their shooting. And so really work on hiding it. The best way to do that is every time you practice, like you're sitting there, you're practicing a pass, right? You should think in your head before doing the pass, I'm going to hit a long right now. And get set up, get ready to really just destroy that long, and then do your pass. Work that, because otherwise you're going to look different. You're going to set up and you're going to be kind of like soft and behind the ball with your elbow cocked like this because you want to get around on it, rather than sitting comfortably like you would when you're going to do your spray long or something like that. Make sure you think in terms of, I need to blast a long right now, but I'm going to do a pass. That's how they all should look. They should, and stop doing the backman pass too. I want to stop that in all of foosball. That's my goal for the rest of my foosball playing career, is to get players to stop trying to pass with their backman.
Unless they're not paying attention.
Yeah, unless they're not paying attention.
I call that one pouty. That's the other one. The opponent drops a pass, right? They sit there, they look up, they look away, they stomp their foot. I'm getting that thing out there as fast as I can because I know they're not paying attention for that split second,
I hate it so much that I see my partner start to wind up for it, and then I pick my guy up because I don't want him to do it. And then they get it through, and I'm just like mad at myself for not catching it, but also just like, don't even do it, because I think it's not gonna work every time I see it. Yeah. Anyway, good stuff, man. Good stuff. Bring Ellen back.
I do the same thing for telegraphed passes. Like I refuse to catch those. I'm like, oh, they're too slow. Don't baby them. Cool. So something some of you may not know is that we do quite a bit of these on our side, is that we offer custom partner training for you and your teammate with the coach of your choice. So definitely email us if you're interested in that for this tournament season. And we're getting started to get into the thick of the tournament season at the moment. We've got DFW championships and Moneyball next weekend, and then another 2 for Georgia and South Dakota State the following weekend. Then we got Arnold Classic and Costa Rica. So there's a lot of stuff coming up. So definitely get your practice in, review those webinars, do all the things. Good luck to everyone attending 1, 2, 4, 5 of these upcoming ones. And next up, due to popular demand, we are following up on our second ever Webby for a zone and defensive positioning number 2, which is a deeper focus on the positioning aspect of it. So we've scheduled that for release March 10th at the same time, 7 p.m. Central Time, though we'll only have the recorded tickets available for this one. As usual, thank you so much to all of our live and recorded participants. We appreciate you so much and look forward to seeing heightened awareness and competition on the battlefield. See you all next time, everyone.
Have a good one, everyone.
Adios.